Okay. I am Rabbi Alan Silverstein, president of Merkaz Olami, conservative Masorti Judaism's Zionist organization worldwide with 16 country-based chapters. To support Israel, Merkaz brings together all of our movements, kihilot, rabbis, and other Jewish professionals at times that are critical, such as today. For this solidarity briefing, Merkaz is particularly grateful to our partners, Masorti Israel, Masorti Olami, the United Synagogue, and the International Rabbinical Assembly. There is an interpretation feature below, so there'll be simultaneous translations in Spanish and in French. Also, in case of a siren, all the organizers will have to run to a shelter, and that could affect the broadcast, but that's our situation. We are in an unprecedented moment of crisis for our beloved state and people of Israel, for bereaved families, for families of the wounded, and for loved ones of the hostages. We are both shocked and outraged by the barbarity of the heinous Hamas invasion in its commission of war crimes. As noted by Holocaust historian Dr. Deborah Lipstadt, this past Shabbat, Simchat Torah, more Jewish civilians were murdered, maimed, and taken captive than on any single day since the Shoah. Merkaz urges all of our diaspora communities, organizations, lay and professional leaders to do many of the following. Number one, make clear that we unequivocally stand in solidarity with Israel, its need for self-defense and for restoring security. Number two, we should arrange phone calls, texts, and whatever is possible to express love, compassion, and care to the Masorti Israel movement, Masorti Israel Kihilot, Noam, Maron, the Schechter Institute, as well as our Israeli family members, friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. Three, we must articulate our movement's global unity with Israel in social media, in blog posts, in op-eds, and in interviews with the media. We also, number four, must put aside any internal Jewish political disagreements during this urgent period of Achdut. Number five, we should support and attend local demonstrations of solidarity with Israel, making clear that we represent a totality of worldwide conservative Masorti Judaism. Number six, we must encourage our members to donate generously to emergency Israel aid campaigns, notably to assist in the crisis responses of Masorti Israel. Number seven, we should recite prayers, for example, Tefillah al Shlom HaMedina, the prayer for the IDF and for first responders, the prayer for captives, as well as psalms of healing on behalf of the severely injured. Finally, we must keep informed, turning to reliable sources of information. To that end, Merkaz's representative to the national institutions on behalf of us all, Dr. Yizhar Hess, deputy chair of the World Zionist Organization, has arranged for this most important initial briefing. We turn now to Yizhar.
Thank you, Rabbi Allen. Good evening, Erev Tov from Jerusalem. I'm Yizhar Hess, Deputy Chair of the World Zionist Organization and the Senior Representative of Merkaz in the national institutions. This is a worldwide Masorti leadership briefing. We have representatives here tonight from Europe, Latin America, Australia, and of course, North America. Our special guest tonight is Major General in Reserve Noam Tibon. He will be introduced shortly. But before we get there, a few logistics. First of all, please make sure that you are muted. This session will be divided into a few chapters. General Tibon will present for 15 or 20 minutes. It will be followed by Q&A. A few people sent us already questions, and I will be facilitating this part. And we will try to address as many questions as possible. After the Q&A, we will read special prayer that was composed for this moment. We will be reading it in Hebrew, in English, in French, and in Spanish, and we will conclude with some closing remarks from Emily Levy-Shochat. The program of tonight is 1 hour, and we'll make sure to end it on time. It's a joint program of a few arms of the movement. And before we start, I would like to thank Rakefet Ginsburg, CEO of the Masorti movement in Israel, and of course, my rabbi, Rabbi Mauricio Balter, CEO of Masorti Olami and Merkaz Olami. And now, to introduce General Tibon, I am honored to invite Margot Gold, the new chairperson of Masorti Olami. Margot?
Thank you, Yishar. Today, it is really my honor to introduce Major General Reserve Noam Tibon. He spent his military career specializing in counter-terrorism and homeland security. His most recent military position was Commander of the Northern Formation. His command positions include service as Commander of the 202nd Battalion of the Paratroopers Brigade, Deputy Commander of the Paratroopers Brigade, Commander of the Etzion Regional Brigade, Commander of the Judea Regional Brigade, Commander of the Nahal Brigade, Head of the Personnel Division of the IDF Ground Forces, Chief of the Infantry and Paratroopers Corps, Commander of the Judea and Samaria Division, and Commander of the Command and Staff College of the IDF. Major General Tibon holds a BA in History from the University of Haifa, Summa Cum Laude, and a master's in public administration from Harvard University, also Summa Cum Laude. But for all of his many impressive roles and titles, Major General Tibon is first and foremost an Abba and Saba. So in the surprise attack on Israel, which took place on October 7th, when Hamas terrorists penetrated Kibbutz Nahal Oz, where his son Amir Tibon and his family live, Major General Tibon joined the force of the Maglan unit and together with them fought to clean the kibbutz of terrorists and rescued his son and granddaughters. It is now my great honor to turn this over to Major General Tibon.
Here it's evening. I know you are all over the world, so hello. And first of all, I really appreciate your love and your support to the state of Israel. Here we are in Israel, we are in a very difficult situation. Israel was caught by surprise. 50 years after the 73 war, we again in a very difficult situation, fighting to protect our homeland. I was a soldier all my life, combat officer. I went through Lebanon and Gaza and the West Bank, but the situation today is very, very difficult. Because mainly what happened that on daylight, hundreds of Hamas terrorists entered the border between Gaza and Israel. They were well trained and they crossed the border with glides, with trucks, and basically they came to kill as much as they can. Each team went to a kibbutz or a moshav or a city on the Gaza envelope.
Janet Ridgewan. Join the meeting.
Each team went to a kibbutz or a moshav on the Gaza envelope, and basically what they did, because they came to die, that they created hundreds of terror incidents all over the Gaza envelope. This was followed by rockets to all over Israel. Now, the problem is to fight so many terror spots simultaneously that usually you have special forces and you know how to handle 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 terror spots simultaneously. But now you have hundreds of them. They slaughtered and butchered innocent people, and they took all people, children, women, as hostages into Gaza. This is a very difficult time for the state of Israel. I can say that in my eyes, this is the biggest Maglan, even bigger than the 73 Maglan. And we lost 700, and I believe it will be around 1,000 people in few days. This is more than the whole Intifada, which was a tough time for Israel. And there is people who are responsible to it. People are responsible, first of all, the government of Israel, but also in the military. And definitely, when we will win the war, those people will have to take responsibility. And I believe this is going to be a very painful process. But right now, what we have to do is to win a decisive victory. A decisive victory inside Gaza Strip, inside the city of Gaza. We have to kill and destroy a lot of people because we live in a very tough neighborhood. And if
Join the meeting.
If the enemies around us will see weakness, this will be the end. So we are now united, and we have to fight this battle to support the IDF. I hope that the politician will be smart enough to create a united government. As you know, Israel went to a terrible political year, which destroyed us. Again, I blame the government and Benjamin Netanyahu on this. But right now, we have to be united. There are a lot of casualties, a lot of soldiers and officers, mainly from special forces and elite units, because those are the ones who are fighting from house to house. I believe we almost finished to clean the Gaza envelope. We killed hundreds of terrorists, but we have so many casualties. And in small communities like kibbutzim, when you lost 20, 30 people, it's almost 10 or 15% from the population. Now, those people lived there since the beginning of Israel. They were protecting the border. And basically, the agreement between them and the state of Israel was, we are pioneers, we are Zionists, we are protecting the border, but the IDF and the government need to protect us. This was broken 2 days ago, and it will be hard to recover. But yes, and in few words, I will tell you my personal story. I was fighting shoulder to shoulder with our young paratroopers. I believe in them. I believe in the IDF. I support the IDF, and we are going to win this war. We have no other choice to win this war. And right now, what we need from you is your help and support, mainly to the communities in Gaza envelope that some of those kibbutzim, almost in every house, just like in Kibbutz Be'eri, almost in every house, there were terrorists. There were almost 100 terrorists in one kibbutz. This is really a tough situation, and they lost many people. And we will have to support them to recover because, Gaza envelope is a very important part of the state of Israel. And I would like to share with you my private story, and then I would like to answer a question. My son, Amir, my daughter-in-law, Miri, and their two daughters, Galia, 3.5 years old, and Carmel, which is 1.5 years old, live in Nahal Oz almost 10 years, and I'm very proud of them. They went there because they were Zionists, and they believe that we need Israelis around there. On Shabbat, 7:30 in the morning, there were sirens in Tel Aviv. So, as many Israelis, I didn't took it very seriously, but a few minutes later, I got a text message from my son Amir. There are terrorists in our neighborhood. I told him immediately, Amir, get into the shelter room, which we have in every house, close all the doors, be quiet, don't move, don't make any noise. And I will take care that forces will come to your neighborhood. And what I did that immediately, I took my wife, Dr. General Tibon. She's a Holocaust researcher and an author. We went on our Jeep and we start to drive as fast as we can, because I knew that if there are terrorists inside Nahal Oz, the whole system collapses. And I need
Tout le système s'écroule.
to secure and protect my family as a father and as a grandfather. So we went south. It's about an hour drive from Tel Aviv, where I live. On the road, there were all kinds of checkpoints by the Israeli police who tried to stop us, but we didn't stop because we had a mission to protect our family. Some of them we bypass through the field, and some of them we just drive. Around the region of Sderot, we went into a war zone. There were hundreds of cars on the road, bodies on the road, burning, shooting, terrible scenes. So we continued south about 10 miles to the entrance of Kibbutz Mefalsim, and there was fighting on the main road. It's the entrance of the kibbutz between Israeli troops and terrorists inside Kibbutz Nahal Oz. We couldn't cross there. What we saw was a man and a woman that was running on foot from this nature party not far away, that almost half of the people that were in this nature party were killed and slaughtered and butchered by those terrorists. They were lucky enough to escape, so we put them on our Jeep. We took them back to a safe place. And then we came back because we had a mission to protect our family. In Mefalsim, basically, there were troops. And I said, listen, guys, right now, there are terrorists in my son's house, because this is what Amir texted me. And he was right. The terrorists were around the house, shooting into the house, trying to get in. They said we have to wait for orders, and I knew that right now there is such a big mess, nobody is going to give them orders. But there were one brave soldier who said, Noam, I know you. I was under your command. I'm coming with you. So I took him inside my Jeep. Gali, my wife, waited there in a small shelter, and I had only a pistol. And we started to go to Nahal Oz. It's about 10, 15 minutes drive from there. So we were driving alone. At the entrance of the Kibbutz Nahal Oz, there is a road between the fields and a small forest there. And then we saw an Israeli Jeep with soldiers fighting with terrorists, just near the road. The terrorists were ambushed them and they waited that troops will come to the kibbutz to help. So, of course, we jump. There were 5 soldiers there, 3 were dead, and 2 were fighting. So we helped them. I took the M16 of one of the killed soldier, a brave officer. I went to visit his parents today from Ramat HaSharon, Iftach Yabetz. And together we killed the terrorist. And basically what I did, I put 2 wounded soldiers on my jeep and evacuated them back to Mefalsim. I told Gali, my wife, jump on the jeep and take them to the hospital in Ashkelon. I'm heading back to Nahal Oz because I knew that the clock is ticking. I went back. It's a friend of mine, another Israeli major general who came with his own private corps. At that time, there were no, in this region, and I'm very sad to say, but this was the truth, no IDF and no state of Israel in this region. Everyone was fighting for his life alone. I went back to the kibbutz. I met on my way forces from Maglan unit, elite unit, brave soldiers, and another group of force of paratroopers from Sayeret Tzanchanim. The 2 battalion commanders knew me, and I told them, listen guys, trust me. I will help you, I will guide you. And we entered the kibbutz. Half of the force went to basically to fight on a military post that was captured by the Hamas, and half of the force came with me. And basically we start to search from house to house inside the kibbutz. We killed 6 more terrorists on those searches. There were other terrorists that were killed by the brave people of Nahal Oz. And basically, after that we search, line by line, I came to the house of my son and I knock on the roof and I said, Amir, this is the name of my son, Amir Tibon, he's a Haaretz reporter. Amir, I'm here. And I saw my granddaughter, Galia said, Grandpa came. And basically, about 2 hours before, I text them, Amir, I'm on my way. Be quiet, wait for me. I will come and rescue. The brave soldiers, this was my honor, really my honor to fight with them, basically clean the whole kibbutz. In this kibbutz, we have 6 casualties, all people that was slaughtered in their house. And I think 5 people that were kidnapped, missing, we don't know. Maybe they are in Gaza. And this is a very small community. With the soldiers, we arrange all the people. And basically, at that evening, we evacuated all the kibbutz to a safe place. And only soldiers stayed in Nahal Oz. Basically, this is my personal story. I'm very brave. I'm not very brave. My granddaughters are very brave because they were 10 hours in a dark room, no light, no food, no water, almost no cellular, and they had to be quiet all the time. But we are really lucky because all my family is alive. There are so many other families in Israel which totally destroyed on this attack. We have no choice. We have to be determined. We have to be tough, and we have to win decisive victory. And Gaza and the Hamas need to pay, and we had to destroy this force of the Hamas, completely destroyed them. And I believe when you will see Gaza, it's not going to be nice to look, but you have to support us because this is a tough neighborhood. And everybody must see that the IDF is a strong military force and it's not good to attack the state of Israel. And yes, as I told you, this is a huge crisis. And when we will win this war, and I'm sure that we will win, I trust the soldiers of the IDF, yes, people in the government, and yes, in the military as well, will have to pay the price because this cannot happen. Too many people lost their life. We cannot afford ourselves to catch by surprise, like what happened 2 days ago. So we need your support. If you want to support by money, please give it to the kibbutzim in the Gaza envelope. They need it more than anyone else. They are the brave people, and there are terrible stories on the one hand and glory stories on the other hand of people who fought for their life. And yes, we need that after the war, this war, they will go back and they will live there in security. So this is the situation in Israel. We're at the beginning of this war. And I hope that today, basically,
Join the meeting.
we almost finished to clean the Gaza envelope. We have to be all the time with 2 eyes on what's going on the northern part of Israel, Hezbollah, which even stronger of the Hamas, and there were some small incidents today in the northern border, and we have to be ready to fight in 2 fronts. And of course, behind this, we have Iran, and we have to be ready for all kind of difficult scenarios. I know that, the IDF recruit reservists, everybody came. All the brave pilots are on the planes, even those that were during the last few months said that they are not going to fly in this government. They are all flying and risking their life. And I salute each one of them. We have a lot of casualties, but we are strong. And right now we have no choice, just to win.
Toda. Amir, allow me to thank you on behalf of all of us for what you shared with us, the insights as well as your personal story. The story that is told from the angle of your son is now on the chat. It was published today in Haaretz Hebrew, and now it's already translated into English. And of course, the most memorable sentence is that you knock on their door, on their window, and you say, Sababa. Mm-hmm. And this is something that we'll all remember. A few questions that we'd like to ask you. The first one from Mirko Lebel from Brazil. Are you with us? Mirko, unmute yourself.
Okay, here I am. First, Major General Tibon, thank you very much for your time, especially in such a delicate moment. And thank you for sharing your personal touching experience. From all the communities in Latin America, you can be sure that we'll give you all the support throughout the war, and we'll do the best to help you, especially, like you said, to the communities close to the border. Now to my question, can you please explain why it seems that it was so easy for the Hamas terrorists to cross the border from Gaza, and also why it seems took so long for the IDF to realize they had crossed into Israel?
This is the biggest question of all. I think that there was a misunderstanding on this border of the abilities of the Hamas. We have to check very careful our intelligence. And this is a failure. This is a very, very painful failure because Israel spent billions of dollars to dig inside to stop the tunnels. But they just crossed the border and there were not enough troops along the border. And we paid a huge price. I have no answer yet. I'm angry. I'm frustrated, but this is not a solution. So first of all, we have to win. And then, yes, there are tough questions to be asked. There is something which is crazy, but Egyptians said that they gave Benjamin Netanyahu a warning that something big is going to happen, and he ignored it. I know that the IDF, because of this government, did a huge mistake, and they moved a lot of troops from the Gazan border to the West Bank. Of course, there is terror in the West Bank, but those troops were missing along the border. So there is a lot of things that we have to check. And yes, I believe that after we win, and now we have to be united and to win the war, but after the war, there will be tough questions. And I believe that this government and Benjamin Netanyahu cannot stay even one day on his chair because of his responsibility. And of course, in the military as well, we will have to ask all those tough questions. But right now, we have to fight, and we have to fight together. And yes, this is a huge question, and unfortunately, I don't have the answer.
Thank you. Sarah Lipsy Brockman from New Jersey, please unmute yourself.
General Tibon, thank you so much. I want you to know how we share so deeply in your pain and in the pain of the Israeli people. And we're here, really, really, we're here.
Thank you very much.
What do you think we've learned about Hamas's military abilities? It seemed that they acted more as an army than a terror organization during this time. What did we learn?
Okay, this is a good question. Basically, the Hamas is a combination between a military force, a militia, and troops of suicide fighters, because most of the people who enter to Israel, they have no intent to go back to Gaza. They are fighting until death, just like the Japanese in World War II. And that's why it's so painful and we have so many casualties, because you have to kill them one by one. And as I explained, to handle, hundreds of terror spots simultaneously, it's very, very complicated in military terms. Number one. Number two, why, I'm coming back to the question, why it was so easy to cross the border and why there were no forces to stop them. Tanks, Air Force, we have all those units. This is very, very tough questions. And we are paying the price because we have so many casualties, because we couldn't prevent this entrance. Now you have to go there and kill them one by one, under the houses, between the trees. A lot of work. You have to do it patiently. You have to be careful from friendly fire. And at the end of the day, it's face to face. You have to be a very good soldier. But we will kill them. We learn how to fight and do it better in this situation. And in my belief, we have to push as much as we can the war into the land of Gaza Strip.
Thank you. Next question, Rabbi Hillel Skolnick of Ohio.
Thank you, Yitzhar. Thank you to the leadership for organizing this briefing. And General Tibon, thank you so much for your words and your story, the bravery of your child and your grandchildren, and the bravery of so many, and your bravery too. You mentioned Iran very briefly, but I know I speak for so many when we're wondering to what extent, to the best of your knowledge, Iran had a hand in planning and funding and executing this horrific attack on the state of Israel.
Iran basically is all over, even though that Hamas are Sunnis and Iran are Shia. And this is a struggle inside Islam. Basically, Iran is funding Hamas, is funding Hezbollah, and trying to open a new front against Israel in Syria. The main issue with Iran, of course, is the nuclear program of Iran, that we cannot agree that something like this will happen. Again, unfortunately, since in the last few years, Iran moved very fast because, the US under the Trump administration basically stopped the agreement. I know Benjamin Netanyahu pushed America to do it. And the main issue with Iran is, of course, the nuclear problem. And, you see right now with Saudi, if they will have nuclear weapon, everybody in the Middle East will have nuclear weapons, and this is not good for the state of Israel. Yes, they are behind it, but it is Hamas. And Hamas is the address, and Hamas need to pay the price. And the region, including Iran, will need to see what happened to Hamas after such a crazy, brutal attack against civilians. To get into houses and to slaughter people, to slaughter kids, to kill old women. This is not bravery. This is terror. This is not military. This is terror. And this is the combination of, they just wanted to kill as many Israelis. This is their target. So we will have to deal with it. And yes, Hamas will pay the price, but yes, Iran is an address. Iran is an address. And we will have to be, ready to Hezbollah in the north. And I think, the US and Israel need to handle this challenge of Iran together to prevent any nuclear bomb by those crazy people.
Thank you. Debbie Kenner-Goldish of Philadelphia. Debbie?
Thank you, Yischar. And thank you to you, Major General Tibon, for a lifetime of heroic service to the state of Israel. How long, in your opinion, will an effective military operation in Gaza take?
This is a great question. In my eyes, we have to do it as fast as we can and as decisive as we can, because long war are not good for the state of Israel. I hope that, in 2 weeks, we will finish it and we will achieve what we need to achieve. Usually when war are getting longer, the windows of opportunities from the world is getting wider, and it's, at the end of the day, if you are not rushing to achieve your goals, in my belief, it can happen that you will not achieve them. And that's why, personally, I'm pushing right now to move as fast as we can to attack and to achieve our goals. And as I told you, the region need to see a decisive victory. Nothing else. Nothing else. And, it's going to be tough. It's going to be ugly sights. of damage in Gaza. But you have to remember, they started it. This was a brutal attack on civilians, period. Brutal attack on civilians. If you take a woman and a baby as a hostage, you are a terrorist, period. If you killed all people, 80 years old, sick people, in the room, you are a terrorist. Those people are not soldiers. So those terrorists and their leaders need to pay the price, and I hope that we will kill all of them. All the leaders, in my opinion, need to be dead. If not now,
doable,
in the
it's
future.
achievable? Is it doable, achievable? Is it something that in a military way, in 2 weeks, you can create such a change of paradigm in Gaza?
Yes, in my belief, yes. I hope that, this is my personal belief. I'm not in charge of the plans, but, people listen to me and I push because I believe this is what we need to do right now. And this is not a revenge. This is not a revenge. We are in a tough neighborhood. We have to win.
Next question, Rabbi Steve Warnick of Toronto. Steve?
Thank you, Ishar, and thank you everyone for establishing this. The Times of Israel reported just a few moments ago that Hamas is threatening to start executing hostages if Israel continues to not warn civilians of incoming rocket attacks and missile attacks from the air. What are your thoughts about how hard this operation is going to be, considering the number of hostages that have been taken?
I assume that they will threat that they will do it. We saw those terrible sights by Daesh. And if they will execute innocent people, they will pay the price. It's going to be very painful. As you know, we are very, very, very sensitive to our human life. I know that the Egyptians are trying to moderate. If they will execute people, they will pay the price. It will be horrible. It will be horrible. But, I was in those kibbutzim. I saw the horror. I saw the dead bodies of innocent people. They slaughtered and butchered. No other words. This is terror. And against terror, there is only one word: determined victory. This is the only way that you can fight terror. I hope they will not do it. But if they will do it, it should not prevent us to do the operation in Gaza. This is my own opinion.
General, many people are asking on the chat, should they come to Israel to volunteer? Do you think it is something that they should do, or they should help us from there? What is your opinion?
Number one, help us from there, support us. If you are raising money, and I know that, I salute you, please aim it to kibbutzim in Gaza Strip. Those communities really suffered. Don't waste it on other issues. Put all the money on the kibbutzim and moshavim and sderot along the Gaza envelope. Mainly the kibbutzim. They were the ones that suffered the most. If you want to come to volunteer, go with your heart, but I believe that it will not change anything, because right now, all the people in Israel, basically what they are doing, they are buying food for the soldiers. I have my younger son, Uri, is an officer, combat officer in the IDF along the border. He said, Dad, I cannot eat anymore. Every minute somebody come with food and push for us. So Israel is now, the nice face of Israel. Because right now, Israelis, it's not the government, it's Israelis are pushing, sending their kids to protect the state of Israel. And this is what it is. So, do whatever you believe. And I can tell you that your support is strategic for us, and it is strategic for the state of Israel.
General Tibon, thank you so much for being with us. It was fascinating to hear you, and thank you for being so frank and blunt. You didn't, you weren't gentle with us, and we appreciate it. We will now do some prayers together, a special prayer that was composed for this evening. I would like to invite Rakefet Ginsberg, CEO of the Masorti movement in Israel, firstly in Hebrew.
I hope, can you hear me now?
Ken.
Erev קשה tonight. It's a very hard night. I'm sorry. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, ואימותינו שרה רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך את תושבי מדינת ישראל החיים תחת האיום המתמיד של טילי הרס ומוות. הקדוש ברוך הוא יחזק את ליבם ואת כושר עמידתם בעת המשבר, עד יעבור זעם. שלחנו בכוחך הגדול עזרה ומרפא לגופם ונפשם של אחינו ואחיותינו במערב הנגב, כי עזק המוות, וכמלאה הארץ חמס מפניהם, קשת וכידון יחזיקו, אכזרי חמה ולא ירחמו, ונהפכה להם שמחת החג, כיום גבורה היום ההוא, יום צרה ומצוקה, יום שואה ומשואה, יום חושך ואפלה, יום ענן ואפל. יהי רצון שיוודע במהרה גודל הנעדרים וישובו כל שבויי ישראל לבית יקיריהם במהרה, שלמים בגוף ובנפש, ולבן נחמה לשבורי לב, אשר יקיריהם נורו ונרצחו כצאן טבחה בידי בני עוולה. ויהי רצון מלפני יושב במרומים, שייתן עצה טובה בלב כל קברניטי המדינה, שידעו לנהל את המלחמה, את מלחמת העם בתושייה, בהבנה ובחוכמה, ולהביא על אויבינו את דברי ככתוב, כי יום יזדם בא אליהם את פקודתם. אדוני צבאות, אלוהי מערכות ישראל, שמור מעל חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, העומדים במערכה ביבשה, בים ובאוויר, בחזית ובעורף, ועל כל כוחות ביטחון והצלה. הצילם אלוהינו מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל פגע רע, ושלח ברכה והצלחה במעשה ידיהם, וידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, צאתם לשלום, ושובם בבתיהם לחיים ולשלום. אבינו שבשמיים, שים שלום בארץ ושמחת עולם לכל יושביה, ויקוים בנו במהרה הכתוב, בימינו מקרא שכתוב, וישבו איש תחת גפנו ותחת תאנתו, ואין מחריד, כי פי אדוני צבאות דיבר, וכן יהי רצון, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you, Rakefet. 3 of your children are now in service. שלושת בנייך, שיחזרו בשלום. In English, Rabbi Jacob Blumenthal.
May the one who blessed our fathers and mothers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, and Rachel, Bless the residents of the state of Israel who live under the constant threat of missile attacks and death. May the Holy One strengthen their hearts and endurance during this time of crisis until the fury passes. With your immense power, God, send support and healing to the bodies and souls of our brothers and sisters in the Western Negev. For it is as fierce as death, and for the land is filled with lawlessness because of them. They grasp the bow and javelin, they are cruel, they show no mercy. The joy of the festival has been turned into sorrow, for that day became a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of calamity and desolation, a day of darkness and deep gloom, a day of densest clouds. May it be your will, God, speedily and soon, to reveal the fate of those who are missing, and may all the captives of Israel return home speedily to their dear ones, whole in body and in soul. Bring comfort to the brokenhearted whose loved ones were shot and murdered as sheep to be slaughtered in the hands of evildoers. And may it be the will before the one who dwells in the heavens to plant good counsel in the hearts of all the leaders of the country, that they may know how to conduct the nation's war with understanding, awareness, and wisdom, and to bring upon our enemies the words of Scripture, for their day of disaster is upon them, the hour of their doom. Lord of hosts, God of the wars of Israel, watch over the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces who stand in battle on land, in the air, and at sea, on the front lines and in the rear, and all the security and rescue forces. Save them, O God, from every trouble, distress, and calamity, and bestow blessing and success upon their efforts. Help them to subdue our enemies and grant them, O God, salvation and the crown of victory. May they depart in peace and return home alive and safe. God in heaven, grant peace to the land and eternal joy to all its inhabitants. Fulfill for us in our days the verse of Scripture, every family shall sit under its own vine and fig tree with no one to disturb them. For it is the Lord of hosts who speaks. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will. And let us say, Amen.
In Spanish, Rabbi Mauricio Balter.
Viera el que bendijo a nuestros patriarcas Abraham, Isaac y Jacob, y a nuestras matriarcas Sarah, Rivka, Rachel y Lea. Bendecir a los habitantes del Estado de Israel que viven permanentemente bajo la amenaza de ataques con misiles y muerte. Quiera el Todopoderoso fortalecer sus corazones y su resiliencia en este momento de crisis hasta que acabe la furia. Con su inmenso poder otorga apoyo y curación a los cuerpos y almas de nuestros hermanos y hermanas del Negev occidental, porque la muerte es fuerte, porque la tierra está llena de violencia a causa de ellos. Arco y jabalina empuñarán, crueles son y no tendrán misericordia. La alegría de la festividad se convirtió en pena para ellos. Día de ira fue aquel día, día de congoja y de angustia, día de destrucción y desolación, día de tinieblas y lobreguez, día nublado y de densa oscuridad. Sea su voluntad que sepamos rápidamente el destino de los desaparecidos, y que todos los cautivos de Israel regresen prontamente a sus hogares y a sus seres queridos, con sus cuerpos y almas intactos. Consuela a los desolados cuyos seres queridos fueron asesinados a mano de los malvados como ovejas que fueron llevadas al matadero. Sea la voluntad de aquel que habita en los cielos otorgar buenos consejos a los corazones de todos los líderes del país, para que sepan dirigir la guerra con lucidez, conocimiento y sabiduría, y que caigan sobre nuestros enemigos las palabras de las Sagradas Escrituras, porque el día de su ruina ha venido sobre ellos, la hora de sus castigos. Señor de los ejércitos, Dios de las guerras de Israel, cuida a los soldados de las fuerzas de defensa de Israel que luchan por tierra, aire y mar, en la vanguardia y en la retaguardia. Cuida a todas las fuerzas de seguridad y de rescate. Evítales odios, dificultades, aflicción y calamidades. Y vierte bendiciones y concede éxito a sus acciones. Ayúdalos a reprimir a nuestros enemigos y otárgales odio a la salvación y la corona de la victoria. Que partan en paz y regresen a sus hogares con vida y seguridad. Padre Celestial, concede la paz al país y alegría eterna a todos sus habitantes. Haz realidad en nuestros días el versículo: cada hombre se sentará bajo su parra y bajo su higuera, y no habrá quien los atemorice, porque la boca de Dios de los ejércitos habló. Hágase tu voluntad y digamos amén.
In French, Jacques Adidas. Jacques, please.
Que celui qui a béni nos patriarches, Abraham, Isaac et Jacob, et nos matriarches, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel et Léa, bénisse les habitants de l'État d'Israël qui se retrouvent sous la menace constante d'attaques meurtrières. Que le Saint béni soit-il fortifie leur cœur et leur donne la faculté de résistance pendant cette période de crise jusqu'à ce que le danger passe. Éternel notre Dieu, dans ton immense bienveillance, envoie soutien et guérison physique et morale à nos frères et sœurs du Néguev occidental, car une force féroce de mort vient de déferler sur le pays pour y répandre la confusion et le désarroi. Comme le dit le verset, ils saisissent indifféremment l'arc et le javelot, se montrent cruels, ne témoignant aucune pitié. La joie de la fête de ce jour sacré s'est transformée en jour de troubles, de larmes et de détresse, un jour de calamité et désolation, un jour d'obscurité profonde et de sombres nuages. Éternel notre Dieu, aide les autorités de l'État d'Israël à découvrir rapidement ce que sont devenus tous ceux qui sont portés disparus et faire en sorte que tous les otages, hommes, femmes et enfants de tout âge, puissent rentrer rapidement chez eux sains et saufs. Apporte réconfort et résilience aux cœurs brisés dont les proches ont été froidement assassinés, massacrés et abattus comme des moutons par des monstres sanguinaires. Puisse celui qui domine dans les cieux inspirer le conseil judicieux dans le cœur de tous les dirigeants du pays d'Israël, afin qu'ils puissent mener la guerre de la nation avec détermination, intelligence et pertinence contre ses ennemis et les mettre définitivement hors d'état de nuire. Seigneur des armées, Dieu des combats d'Israël, veille sur les soldats des forces de défense israéliennes qui combattent sur la terre, dans les airs et en mer, en première ligne et à l'arrière, ainsi que sur toutes les forces de sécurité et de secours. Préserve-les, ô Dieu, de tout trouble, détresse et calamité, et accorde-leur bénédiction en couronnant tous leurs efforts d'un succès mérité. Aide-les à vaincre nos ennemis en leur accordant une victoire éclatante. Puissent-ils rentrer en paix chez eux comme ils sont partis au front, regagnant sains et saufs leur foyer. Notre Père céleste, accorde la paix définitive au pays, rétablis la sérénité sur tous ses habitants, et que s'accomplisse ainsi le verset de l'Écriture: chacun retrouvera paisiblement sa vigne et son figuier, sans personne pour le troubler. C'est le Seigneur des armées qui a parlé. Que ce soit ta volonté, et nous disons Amen.
Amen. Closing words, Emily Levy-Shochat, Treasurer of Merkaz Olami.
It's hard to speak after all that, but I'll just try to summarize. Also, I must say, I hear the war planes above me outside. And we're all suffering. Doesn't matter whether it matters, but whether we're here in Israel, those of us in Israel, those of the rest of you, the rest of us who are around the world, as we just so beautifully heard expressed by the tefillah in different languages. It's impacted me very much. And it's difficult, horrible times for all of us. We're sad, we're angry. I totally identify with the words that Noah, that you used, Saba Noah, who you, fortunately for you, were able to give yourself and your family a gift that, God willing, none of us will ever have to give our families or ourselves, but at least you got something that is very dear by saving them. But we must not give in, folks. We have a lot of strength. There are over 700 people here tonight. We're 700. There are thousands and thousands and thousands. What's challenging, what's facing us now is not only a challenge for Israeli Jewry, it's a challenge for world Jewry. The impact, the ramifications will be on all of us. So we all have our job to do. And as the general said several times, and I quote you, Noah, you said, we have no other choice but to win this war. It might be ugly. It will be painful. It has been already, but we have no choice. And you're right. So we here in Israel are doing what we need to do, which is, again, and I think great wisdom, Noah, you've shared. We've got to get the job done now. There are lots of other issues that need to be discussed subsequently. Political differences, political concerns, to continue the country as a democratic and Jewish state. Right now, we've got to do the business at hand. And you, all of you around the world, your part of it is to do again what he's asked you to do. Go out, continue to support us. It does make us feel good, and I think it makes you feel good that you're participating. We're both benefiting from an evening like this. Please, please activate your communities. And this I say to all of you who are leaders, and you're all leaders in one way or another. Activate your communities, put pressure, political pressure on your politicians. It's okay. It's okay. Not only is it okay, it's absolutely your obligation, in my opinion. And it's your right. I don't think, let me say it's your right. Do it. Don't be afraid. I think with that, less is more. So I want to end this, what's been a very touching evening on many levels, and say, first of all, thank you very much to Tehila Rubin and Neely Glick Asaf, who are our staff people who morning, noon, and night, and in between. And Neely, also a mother and wife, home with 2 little kids in a town that has also been hit just up the street from her. And all of us, we each have our story. But thank you for all you've done, not only for tonight, but in general. And then, no less so, thank you to our partners. We at Merkaz Olami have made it clear that we do and will and must work and want to work with all our Masorti fellow bodies. And in this case tonight, thank you to Masorti Olami, to Masorti Yisrael, to United Synagogue, and to the Rabbinical Assembly. We can do it. We can do it. Let's do it. Let's help each other. And with that, I'll say Erev Tov, V'Shalom, V'Shia Laila Tov L'Kulam.
Laila Tov, everyone. Litraot.
Laila Tov. Toda Rabah.